Hey guys, it's Maymay, and it's been brought to my attention that you guys would like a holder for our folios. If you've not seen this made, you need to go watch it. It is so fun to make this little folio. This is one example. I've done several on the channel, and we'll be sure to link those for you. But this guy is so fun, and he holds between 7 and I think we figured 12 photos, depending on how you do it. And you guys are making them left and right faster than I can even get the holder ready for you. But good news, I've got it ready. Let's make it. So what I want you to do, because you guys are making these fast and furiously, you guys are just making them so quick. I want you to make a template. So I want you to take a piece of chipboard. This is chipboard, okay? And we're going to make a template. You could make it with cardstock, but I'm going to make it with chipboard so it's nice and sturdy all the time. And here's what you need to do. Use your chipboard cutter. Do you guys know about these? So my chipboard cutter is just a regular trimmer, but what I do is when my blade dies in my original trimmer, the one I use every day, I put it into here and use it for chipboard, okay? So we're going to make the first cut. The first cut is 9 inches. I want this guy to be 9 inches tall. We're going to make like a magazine style box. You guys have seen these before, nothing new. I just want to show you the size you need for our folios. So 9 inches. By the way, this will fit. If you made the folio with Shannon in the class she taught, it fits that one as well. All right, did you see that I cut the top and the back? And sometimes I have to wiggle it. And if this bothers you, you can kind of rub this together and get rid of that. See how that fuzz just goes away? And you can do it on both of the pieces and kind of get rid of that little fuzzy. All right, so 9 inches tall. Then I want you to cut it 6 1/4 wide. So the same thing, 6 1/4 here. I'm going to flip this guy over and do 6 1/4 again. If you don't understand why I'm cutting top and bottom, it's because my chipboard's too thick for my blade to go through, so I just cut top and bottom. And sometimes it'll go through easier than others. It just depends on how bad my blade is, and my blade is pretty rough. There we go. There's our first piece. Now what we're going to do is get our ruler and a pencil because I want to make that angled top that magazine holders have. All right, at the top, and by the way, the top is here. This is going to be narrower than it is tall because it's a tall piece. So at the top, I want you to measure in 2 inches. So we're going to make a little mark right here. And then I want you to come up from this side, from the bottom, 4 1/2 inches. Now, we're going to do something. Because I'm cutting chipboard, okay, and I need to cut it on both sides, I need these marks on both sides. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to flip this guy over, and the first thing I'm going to do is make a 4 1/2 inch mark on this side. And then we're going to come to the top and make a 2 inch mark at the top. Okay, so now I know when I put it in my trimmer on both sides where to cut. Let's bring our chipboard trimmer back over. So using those marks, we're going to place them onto the cut line, just like so. I've got my 2 inch and my 4 1/2 inch, and I'm going to cut. And we'll run it through several times. And now I'm going to flip it over because I made those marks on the back. I know where to do it here as well. Now, it may not be perfect, but don't worry. We know how to fix it with our little sanding trick. All right, so we got that. Wiggle that guy off. And you remember, like I said, if you don't like it like that, just do this number. And it'll just clean it right up for you. All right, now then, this is our template, okay? So this is folio box, folio holder template. All right, this is the piece you'll need to remember all the time. So that's why I wanted to just make one and have it. Now for today's folio, the one I'm making on camera, I want to make a black folio because I want to make that lemon paper. I cannot wait to play with the lemon paper. And I think this black chipboard will be really pretty for that. By the way, we carry all this chipboard in our store. Anytime I show the chipboard, you guys ask about it because it's beautiful. I know, it is the greatest chipboard. So we do have it in store for you guys. All right, I'm going to trace. Now I'm using black, so you just want to make sure whatever you use will show up for you. Now, unfortunately, because of the size of the folio, I cannot get 2 from this piece because remember this is a 6 1/4 piece, but don't worry, we need some more pieces anyway, so we'll use those 2. So I am gonna have to cut this twice. I'll show you what I mean. Because this is 6 1/4, it lays right here, and if I try to flip it over, it's just a little too short, no matter which way I do it. So we're gonna do it on 2 pieces of of chipboard. Now, why did I want the template? Because I don't want to have to do all that fussy measuring again. See, all I'm going to have to do now is do this tracing. And you don't even have to trace. You could just cut it with your blade. But I'm just going to go right back to the trimmer. And now all I have to do is put this in the trimmer and cut it out. So when I'm doing this, I like to start where a pen line is. So let me show you what I mean. See how this pen line or pencil line shows up down here? I want to start here because I can line it up evenly, right? So I'm going to do it like this. Just like so. And I didn't trace the other side, but let me show you something else you can do. If you get that half cut done, you can kind of do this number, just like this, and see where you need to cut. So I'm going to put that in the trimmer on the other side and just cut that out right on that line. Ooh, I felt that go through. I felt it. That was good. All right, wiggle that out. Again, we'll come back and do that sanding trick. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing here and here. So these are my 2 main pieces. I've cut them, I did the little sanding trick, and they're ready to go. Now we need to build the center piece that's going to hold it all together. So back to your trimmer. Now before we get started, I want to show you that I've made a template of what we're making. Okay, this is where I did my first one, my practice one. Okay, this side and this side you just cut. Those are the pieces we cut. Now we're going to cut this piece, this base, as well as the back piece here. But here's what I want to tell you. I'm cutting this at 2 1/4 wide. That's going to hold 5 to 6 folios. If you want this to hold more folios, make this wider. If you want it to hold less, make this thinner. This doesn't change, okay? Just these pieces need to be the same width based on what you want it to hold. So if you want it to hold 8 folios, you could add a 1/2 inch or an inch right here. So you'd make this wider, and this wider than I'm making. But mine are 2 1/4. So if you want to make it the same, I'm going to do 2 1/4 here. And this guy needs to be 9 inches tall, if you remember, because that's how tall our template was, remember? So we're going to make sure this is 9 inches. And it's just about perfect. I am going to trim it down because it's a little bit long. That just means my chipboard was a little generous. So I'm going to trim that down just a bit and get rid of that excess because I'm afraid that'll make my measurement off. So I got that one at 9. Now I need one that is 6 1/4. So I'm looking at my scraps first. Look at that. That's exactly 6 1/4. And we'll cut it down to 2 1/4. Just digging into the pieces I had left over from my 2 pieces of chipboard. So that means this may only take 2 pieces of chipboard. And you can make this with 8.5 by 11 chipboard. You don't have to have 12 by 12 because I made this one with 8.5 by 11. It works just the same. All right, we need one more piece. And this piece needs to be 4.5 by 2 1/4. So isn't it crazy that you just need 5 pieces? For some reason, these things always look harder than they are. You just need 5 pieces of chipboard. Now let's make some binding strips. Breaking in here to ask you to hit that red subscribe button. It's free. Also hit the bell button beside it. You can help me reach my big goal this year of 400,000 subscribers. Okay, back to crafting. Now, if you've ever made chipboard albums with me before or anything like that, you're familiar with a binding strip. But basically what binding strips are just 1-inch pieces of cardstock scored in the middle with adhesive added to hold your box together. So the first one we're going to need is 9 inches. I don't think this is going to go 9. It's not. This is from Ben, by the way. I just pulled a scrap out of Ben. So I'm going to go ahead and cut down an inch-long piece. Actually, no. I'm going to cut 2 inches. Let me tell you why. Because I need this twice, and I'll show you as we go. So I'm going to cut a piece down to 2 inches, then to 9, because I need an 1 by 9 piece, but I need 2 of them. Turn this around and cut it down again in half at 1. These don't have to be perfect. They get the job done. They're hidden. You won't see them. But there we go. So I've got 2 1-inch by 9 pieces there. Then I need a piece that is 4.5. So I'm going to go ahead and cut 2 inches because I want to get 2 of them out of it. I'm going to go down to 4.5. and then I'll cut this in half to at 1. Let me say this, if you're getting confused because I'm doing all this from memory, don't worry. We'll have all these measurements for you in the description. I want to show you kind of how I do it. When I need 2, I just cut 2 inches and then break them down. You see what I'm doing? Now we need one that is 6 1/4 by 1 inch, but again, I'll cut it all at one time. So 6 1/4. I probably have a scrap for this in bin, but we're just going to let this be a new scrap. Cut this down to 2. And then cut it down to 1. I like to show you doing like this because as you get comfortable with this, you'll be able to make these so fast because you don't really have to, you know, cut one and then another one and then another one. They just kind of create for you. Look at the fuzz. That is some fibrous paper that I'm using right there. You can even see it's filling up my my cut line. I'll have to clean that out. Okay, now what we want to do is score these. I don't mind scoring them one at a time. You could have left them together, like left your 2 inches together. I'll show you. Let's say you didn't cut them in half, and you could have scored at half and then at 1 1/2. I'm just going to score them one at a time. It's not that big of a deal. There's only 6 of them. So what we're going to do is put these into our scoreboard and score them at 1/2 inch. We're just wanting to be able to fold these guys over, but we want them to fold neatly because they are pretty small. That's why we like to score them. Now what I want to do is add my adhesive. I like to add my adhesive at this point before I fold them in half because it's easier because they're flat. And you guys know I like to use my little 1 inch block to cut. It just makes this go faster. So you're going to put adhesive on either side of the score mark, but not on top of your score line. You want to keep that score line as a free edge. And you're going to do this to every binding strip. Super easy to do. And we'll make these ourselves until somebody gives us a kit like this, right? This is like old school assembling. Old school. I have a question for you guys. So not everyone has said this, but several people have said to me, they feel like the pre-made items that I'm in love with right now and using all those pre-made items is kind of cheating and crafting. And I'm kind of like, I don't really see that because it's not that I can't make the product. I just don't want to make it anymore. I used to sit in my craft room and make those things from start to finish all the time, but I don't have the time I used to. And I love that I could just sit down and like cover a pre-made folio or something. Do you feel like it's cheating? I don't. I feel like for me, crafting is therapy. So as long as I feel like it's being therapeutic, it's not cheating. So tell me what you think. I just thought it was interesting. A couple, actually it was several, 2 or 3 people said it, which I thought was interesting. Not all in the same video, but just in different times I'd hear, this feels like cheating. It feels like you're not really crafting. And I'm like, it didn't feel that way to me. I want your opinion on that. Tell me what you think. Okay, now that I've got adhesive on both sides, I'm going to go ahead and fold these and angle cut them. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to fold these down. And I'm going to take some scissors. I don't want to use my cutter beads. I've got adhesive on here, so I'm going to use my little snips that I don't care if they get dirty. I'm going to cut these from the fold. You see, that's the fold to the free edge at an angle. I call this miter cutting. Some people told me that wasn't necessarily right, but I think it's mitering. I think we're not technically mitering because I'm not going to line them up exact, but we want to get some of the bulk off of here. So again, from the fold to the free edge, cut just a little bit of an angle. It doesn't matter how deep or how small. You just want to get some of that bulk out of there. And now mine are sticking to my work surface, so let me get that out of there. So I'm just going to run through, and every one of these guys, we will crease it down and cut the bulk out. Here we go, the fun part. Let's put this guy together. Okay, so we're going to have our 2 pieces that are angled facing out like this, and then our middle piece here. And we're going to assemble these, and this is so easy to assemble. This is not like when you're doing an album binding section. I don't like doing that. This is easy. The reason this is easy is we don't need any gap between these guys. When we assemble them together, we can put them directly against each other, and it does the work for us because look, we end up with this. Do you see this? Now we can cover this when we go to design, design the whole thing, which if you want to see me cover the box with my lemon paper and make some folios to go inside, let me know. And that can be Saturday's video. If you want to see how that looks, tell me in the comments, but we don't have to do any of that hard work. What we do have to do is get this backer off. I left my pokey tool across the room, so we're going to use tweezers to help us out. Nope, we're going to use tweezers. I heard y'all. I said it completely wrong. I know better, right? Okay, so I like to do this. I like to turn this facing me and kind of drive it into place, end to end. The trick is you do not want this hanging over your edge. You want it flush with the edge. Now, don't let that stress you too much. Don't worry too much about that, but get it as flush to the edge as you can. Then I'm going to peel this one back, and this is what I love. This is so easy. Watch. Butt these up against each other, top and bottom, line them up like so, and then just flip this over. Look how easy. I love that. And now this will fold perfectly like this. One thing I would encourage you to do is to burnish that adhesive down, because it, you know, it helps. It gets it so flush. It's so nice. All right, let's add another strip here. Same thing. I got my strip on. Now I just butt this up next to it, just like so. Peel that backer. Let's line this guy up and flip this over. Excellent. And then I'm going to burnish it. Shannon would be so proud. I'm burnishing it. That's what she does. She'd be so proud. All right, now let's do the bottom. So easy. Let's add a piece of adhesive here. I'm going to go ahead and remove this backer. Then I'm going to bring our little short piece over. Not our shortest piece. This is 6 1/4. We're going to butt it up against, just like we did the others. You see how I'm butting that up? Pay attention that you're going here. You see where we're going? Get my hand out of the way. And then we're going to flip this over and catch it and burnish it. Now it looks like this, kind of like a puzzle, right? We're going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to turn this. Let me get this where I can show you what I'm doing. I'm going to add another binding strip here. Okay, so with our binding strip here, we're going to take our little 4 1/2 inch piece, and you want to line it up with where the angle is there. Butt that up, glue it down, and then burnish. So now to assembly. We're going to put a binder strip here and a binder strip here, and that's all that's going to hold it together. I plan to wrap the edges of this box. I don't normally do that. I usually let the edges just be there, but I plan to wrap the edges when I go to decorate it. So I'm not going to add any more connecting pieces than what I'm doing here. These are the only pieces that are going to hold it together, because when I decorate it, I will like give it extra protection on there. Again, if you want to see that, tell me in the comments if you want to see it completely decorated with some folios in it. All right. You know I want to see yours, so if you do it, put it in our customer gallery so I can see your folio holders full of folios. So here's what I did when I assembled mine. I brought this piece over first, and then I closed this one up last. So let me show you what that looks like. So you're going to remove this backer, like so. We're going to lift this up. Now, when you line this up, I want you to remember that you're not overlapping your chipboard. You're bringing it together. So you're going to have that seam, basically. And you just want to get that caught. And you can take your bone folder, or actually you can lay it flat, I think. Yep, you can lay it flat like this and squish it. Because squishing is a technical term. And now this guy's going to go into here to seal it all shut. It also holds it all together. See how it's wanting to fall over? That'll all go away in just a second. All right, so we're going to take this guy in, and I've just got my hand inside of here to grab it, and I'm just going to tuck this guy in like this, lining it up, being careful to get it lined up correctly. Get this bottom in there. Take your time here, and then put that adhesive down. Now I'm going to flip it over with my hand in there and rub it down. I also take my bone folder and stick inside and crease it. For me, it's easier to do that bottom last because it's bigger than it is to try to do this edge here. I somehow cut something off. Look at that. See how off that is? But this looks pretty good, so I'm gonna let that ride because I'm gonna be covering this anyway in the final product. But look, so they're not perfect. You might think, oh, I've messed the whole thing up and I've got to start over. No, you haven't. We're gonna cover that in when I decorate it. We're not gonna stress about it. I either cut this too short or I cut this one too long, and I feel like I cut this one too long is what happened. But that is our folio box. Let me bring a folio over. And I wish I had more to show you, but I can't find the rest of my folios. I think we gave them as gifts because I can't find any more. But you can see how one fits in here. And I would love to have one that's all that lemon theme, or either all summer themed and do like lemons on the outside and then a bunch inside. So if you want to see that done, let me know and we'll work on it. All right, that is my holder. It'll be so cute when it's decorated. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know you've been asking for it. Tamitha told me she's gotten a lot of requests for something to hold all our folios in. And I'll show you, this is the black one, and this is the little template I did the first time, so you can see them both. All right, guys, when you make these and when you get them all covered and decorated, even if you don't, I just want to see the work you're doing. So share them with us on our customer gallery at maymaymadeit.com. I cannot wait to see your work. Thank you so much for your support. You guys have been so kind to hit that red subscribe button. It just means the world to me. We're over 330,000. You know, I got a 400,000 goal this year. Let's hope we can make it. Try to do it with me. So hit that button if you haven't. And until next time, bye now.